RTX 2060 is available January 15th. Amazing price of $349. Higher performance than a 1080 Ti.
It's that time of year again, friends. It is CES time, and like I mentioned in our what is NVIDIA launching video, we didn't have the money to go to CES. So we're doing remote coverage from here in Pretoria, South Africa, and we've got rocks, lots and lots of rocks, but there's some zebra up ahead, and we're gonna talk about what NVIDIA just announced at their CES keynote and do that so near zebra, because what else do you do in Africa? Obviously, we don't want to get too close to the zebra, don't want to spook them, but they're right there in the background. So let's talk about what NVIDIA just announced. They got a lot of cool things. So let's talk about the RTX 2060 first. There's a lot of rumors beforehand that we might get 6 different editions, and we might have a whole different slew of price brackets and a lot of different competition coming in. And NVIDIA announced one card. We have the RTX 2060 6 gig, and they announced it at the price point of $350. So this is something that we were expecting from them, which isn't too bad. And I want to preface that, but I also kind of want to discuss that price a little bit first. So when the RTX series first launched, one of the things that NVIDIA did is that they said they were launching from $499. So it meant that the 2070, which was $500, actually retailed for $600. During this keynote, Jensen didn't say from $349. He actually said it was just $349.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to tell you that the 2060 is available for $349.
So that should mean that both the AIB partner cards like your Zotacs, your Asuses, your Gigabytes, and MSIs should cost $350, as well as the Founder Edition on NVIDIA's own website. So that's what we're expecting. We heard nothing of a 3 GB card, we heard nothing of a 4 GB card, only a 6 GB GDDR6 and nothing more, which is okay for now. That's what I would prefer. I don't think NVIDIA needs to muddy the waters. So what do we make of the rumor from before? It could just be that Gigabyte was filing a whole bunch of EEC filings with the Eurasian Economics Committee. I forget what that acronym stands for. Anyways, so it could just be that there were filings just in case and not actual products that are coming out. And it could just be that NVIDIA isn't going insane and they're going to give us one card for one price, which is everything we wanted. Which, let's talk about the price point there. The $350 is a little expensive for an X60 class GPU. The 1060, if you remember, launched at $250 for the AIB cards and $300 for the Founders Edition. So this is a $50 price increase over the Founders Edition and $100 over the AIB partner cards.
Let's roll.
But given the performance that NVIDIA quoted, as well as some leaked benchmarks that we've seen, it looks like it's going to be about a 1070 Ti in normal gaming performance. So a 1070 Ti class GPU, this is selling for $20 less than the 1070 launched for and $100 less than what the 1070 Ti launched for. It's an effective price cut, but not a practical one, because the 1070 Ti was recently seen selling for about $370. They took that off the market because obviously it would interfere, but you can still get used 1070 Ti's out on the market for about $300, and that's going to save you a bit of money. However, with ray tracing, the thing that NVIDIA did announce for Battlefield 5 is deep learning super sampling, so that we will get better performance with ray tracing on about 60 to 65 FPS at 1440p with the 2060, hopefully around 80 to 90 FPS at 1080p. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. It's acceptable. The other game that NVIDIA announced deep learning super sampling for was Anthem, in fact. Anthem, the game that everybody's expecting to flop wildly from EA, looks like a bad Destiny 2 clone. I'm just crapping on it for no reason. I'm sure plenty of people are hyped for it, Reese included. Anthem gonna have deep learning super sampling, so hopefully getting better performance at 4K by lowering the effective render resolution and then upscaling it using the tensor cores and AI processing to make an image that is indistinguishable from actual 4K, but then also you just get better performance. So that's the game news. They also showed off this weird Justice game, which is a Chinese MMO, which looks like bad PlayStation 3 graphics, but it's gonna have ray tracing. It just goes to show, my friends, like, ray tracing doesn't make a game look better if it's not actually properly like if the textures are bad, the game is gonna look awful. So ray tracing can't save a bad looking game. It doesn't make it look lifelike. It gives it lifelike reflections, which is swell and dandy. But the thing that is super swell and dandy, the thing that I thought was the most amazing announcement that NVIDIA made at CES, no lie, no extra hype, they will be officially supporting several FreeSync monitors on the NVIDIA cards. This is coming from NVIDIA directly. They did a whole spiel about how there are 550 different adaptive sync monitors on the market. 180 of those, I believe, or no, 70 of those are G-Sync monitors. So there's 480 FreeSync monitors, and they're going through and they're testing every single FreeSync monitor to find the best quality ones to give them. Oh, there's a one. They're going through testing all 480 FreeSync monitors to see the ones that have the best support to be classified as G-Sync certified with NVIDIA graphics cards. So effective January 15th with a driver update, they announced 12 different monitors as of right now that they are considering G-Sync qualified, with 180 monitors that they still have left to test, and then hopefully we'll get a few more out of that. But in case you either have one of these FreeSync monitors, or you're like a million people out there who have an NVIDIA graphics card and want to pick up a cheap FreeSync monitor, NVIDIA brought the freaking news that they officially support it as of now for select models. So I would expect that the sales on those models will go through the freaking roof sometime soon.
For the gamer who just wants to try it, we have it in our control panel so that you could just turn it on. Okay, but going forward, we're going to try to test as many of these ASIC monitors as we can.
And then last but not least, NVIDIA announced their mobile RTX cards, RTX 2060, 2070, and 2080s on the mobile platforms with Max-Q varieties. They said that they're launching over 40 different laptop models from all of the OEMs in the world, and they'll be available from January 29th. You get the thin and lights with the Max-Qs. They're saying that the 2080, the RTX 2080 is better than a GTX 1080 desktop, which is pretty cool, and the 2070 is better than a 1070 desktop, which again, for the form factors that they're showing, especially in like the MSI G65 Stealth, you're getting 1080 level performance with something that is like 30% of the size of a PlayStation 4 Pro, which that was a super weird comparison they did. They said it was twice the performance of a PS4 Pro, which is just like, okay, great. Thanks, NVIDIA. The best moments from this are Jensen saying it just works again, him making this sound effect, whoop, whoop, which he did several times, and him just rambling on about things that he already announced at Gamescom. It was a pretty okay keynote. It took a lot of time for him to announce the 2060. In fact, a full hour into the keynote before we got any freaking news on that whatsoever. Ended up being like an hour 45 in total. Thank you to everybody who tuned into the live stream for that. It was much appreciated to watch it with you guys. He did mess up at one point saying that the 2060 is faster than a 1080 Ti, but it was on screen that it was a 1070 Ti, and he clearly messed up saying it. But in case we want to hate on NVIDIA more, he said it's faster than a 1080 Ti. So when the benchmarks come out, it's not. How dare he?
RTX 2060 is available January 15th. Amazing price of $349. Higher performance than a 1080 Ti.
But as with all things, just like when the 20 series first launched, do not pre-order these cards. Wait until reviewers get their hands on them. Any leaked benchmarks that are coming out right now probably are done by NVIDIA exclusively. So just wait. Obviously, we can say it's better than a 1070 Ti or about the same, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to be when all things are said and done. So make sure to wait for benchmarks from official reviewers. We're going to try to get our hands on a card before, you know, the review dates come out, but the likelihood of, again, being in South Africa doesn't tend to happen as quickly for us. So that's it for everything we have from NVIDIA's announcement today at CES. Thank you all for watching the video. Please, if you want to support us directly, you can do so over at our Patreon, patreon.com/UFDtech. Maybe we might be able to raise enough funds to go to CES next year. Stay tuned. We have a whole bunch more CES remote coverage coming up. We'll be doing a live stream of AMD's announcement on Wednesday, the 9th, when they're supposed to be announcing. I believe it's 9 a.m. Las Vegas time. It's going to be 7 p.m. here in South Africa. We'll be live for that yet again. Again, stay tuned for all of our CES coverage. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Please get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Those are some zebras, or as they call them here in South Africa, zebras. Rhymes with Deborah. It's really weird. I had to adjust to that. But yeah, we'll get back to you with more remote coverage. Let's go, Reese.
RTX 20.
Go, go, go.
Low HP orange. Oh, yellow.
We're on day 3, video 2 of our sort of extreme overclocking rig, except it's not using that exotic of a cooling solution. We're using a giant 78 quart ice bucket, and we're insulating everything. The difference is this time I'm insulating it better. We'll ice cool everything, so the CPU included, not just the GPUs. And we have these Titan RTXs that are under 2080 Ti water blocks, so this is part 1. These will also be sub-ambient cooling, so pretty excited about the performance there. And the goal is to see how high up the leaderboard we can get for overclocking, referring back to the RIP J series. But Jay went with dry ice. I really want to see if we can get close to his score without dry ice, just by using a 9090 DXE and 2 Titan RTXs. Just like $7,000 of hardware, basically. Because he was on a 7090 DXE and 2 2080 Ti's, which is what we used originally. Then he had a dry ice. We're going to see if we can get up to where he is just by using the refreshes of the hardware and the slightly unlocked Titan RTX. And we already did some board insulation in part 1 as well, with the kneadable eraser and shop towel everywhere. So now in part 2, we're going to do tube routing and finalizing some of the configuration for the hardware side of things before we start considering BIOS and software settings, and most of that will likely be in the live streams. Before that, this video is brought to you by the Gigabyte Z390 Aorus Master motherboard, which comes equipped with one of the more powerful Z390 VRMs for heavier overclocks on the new 9th gen Intel CPUs. The Aorus Master is also one of the few motherboards with a real heatsink this generation, featuring a mix of high surface area fins and looks-oriented cover blocks. Oh, and it's also got updated RGB illumination. Learn more at the link below. Okay, so
and then for lifespan of about AMD, that they're all shipping mostly near the top of their already did. Okay. 7.5 and see if we can get something like a flat 4 gigahertz out of it. Up the fan speed or anything, this is just stock fan speeds. We're gonna see what we can do on stock and then probably take it up to 100% fan speed right now. Doesn't make me too happy. Let's just go for straight 4,200 megahertz. Change. And this is all on 1.27. Hopefully that'll work if it's gonna work. Okay, now we have everything to 4 gigahertz, 1.275 volts. Now it's time to run the benchmark test. Straight 4,200 megahertz. Changing nothing besides. The only thing it'll do is probably force me to turn the fan speed up. Actually have with Ryzen 2, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, people want the ability to overclock their system. How high you can hit a frequency on it is great, but then at the, I think it's something the overclocking headroom.
Let's go.
Last. Orange safe. No, orange. Orange.
Deploying flashbang.
Yeah.
Deploying flashbang.
Last.
I'm bringing the hostages out.
Last VP. Purple. Escape. Purple. У него АК. Блять, он один оставался, вас трое. Как вы нахуй слились?
My bad, I'm confused.
Okay.
Let's go, people. Flashbang.
One. Orange one.
Throwing flashbang.
Fuck. Shift. stupid. I'm stupid.
Move it. Move it.
Ну. Осталось двое.
Flashbang.
We're just going to cut this together really quickly. We're going to insulate the back of these. It's something you already saw in part 1, so I'm going to keep it short. The point of this insulation is to block air from hitting the card and forming condensation, because the front of the card, the cooler, will be below ambient. That'll form condensation on the back, and we just need to be careful about that liquid metal. So that's the biggest thing. All right, so that's going to cut down a lot. That took like 20 minutes or something. It's pretty meticulous. So we've got some kneadable eraser on there. I left the area with the shunt resistor that's got liquid metal on it exposed, so I can easily access it. One problem is if you put too much liquid metal on, and I did put a lot on this time, I don't really do much less than this. If you do too much, then it'll just trip a protection and you'll be at like 35 megahertz. So I left that exposed, that way if it is too much, we can remove it. And if you do too little, it doesn't change anything. So hopefully this is a good middle ground where we get a boosted power target by tricking the circuit into thinking we're drawing less power than we are without breaking it. And it's not a permanent break, you just remove it and you're good. So it's not a big risk. I should note that liquid metal on cards isn't a great idea for long-term use, period. But it's fine for what we're doing, which is competitive benchmarking. So now we need to figure out the tube length of everything. That means starting to install the actual test bench itself. Oh yeah, we can do that. Actually, I have to take all the fans off of this too. Moderately successful removal of everything. We have a pile of mounting hardware in the bottom of the radiator. So this is the Mora 360 rad, or no, it's the Mora 3 rad, and it has it had 4 200 fans on the front, and it can fit 9 140s on each side. So we had 4 140s in the back, 4 200s on the front before realizing that's enough. Don't need more than this. This was for the previous project.
Flashbang.
Still connected to the fan controller. And all of that's taken off now, including the special bracket for the 200s. And now we just need to prepare to submerge it in the tank, in the ice tank. We also have a pile of screws. So if you ever need some 200 mil or some screws for all the 200 fans, we've got them. This mounting rail kit also comes off of there. So we never showed this process when we did the build the first time, but it's got these 2 rails that go on to provide screw points in the middle of the radiator, and then that's used for like the 140s or the 120s or whatever you may use, and then the 200s use the big one, but we only had one of those for the front. So I guess I got to get the mounting hardware out of there, and then we can start preparing to submerge it.
Go, go, go.
the water cool Mora 3 is fun for everyone. It's fun for the whole team, and now it's time to transplant it, I think, into the bucket. Start planning that phase. So remove it and get the bench here and start building that out, run all the tubes and figure out the loop order. That's gonna be the big thing to do. I always have to think through that kind of before really committing to it, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the loop. So we need the bucket. This has been here since the last stream. That's a 540 radiator, if you didn't see that one. It has a bunch of EK Furious fans, which are insane. 2,500 RPM. We still have some insulation on the CPU loop, and the cooler is covered in debris from the ceiling tile from when we were doing some electrical work. So it's time for this to come out, I guess. It's still got water in it. Just kind of I need your assistance. Can you hold this for a second? Okay, thanks.
Let's go.
7th round.
Deploying flashbang.
He's on the corner.
Nice. Two please. Nice.
Let's go, people. Molotov. Throwing flashbang.
Yeah, let's elevate it just to get this high enough that I can empty it into the bucket later. The front's gonna come off. Oh, that's pretty stable. I guess I should take the feet off of this too. I don't know. Let's see how this fits. Oh yeah. This thing, I just remembered as I almost came into contact with the fins. These fins are absurdly sharp. Like, I sliced my fingers open when I was working on this the first time. And it was not pretty. So really sharp. If you do happen to buy one, just be aware of that. I think I need to put it in like this, so the tubes are up, and I'm trying to keep my fingers clear of the fins. That's pretty good. We'll have 60% coverage, and then I can just like suction cup a pond pump to the wall behind.
Let's move out. Flashbang.
5 HP. Nice.
Flashbang.
Last.
It, and then that'll circulate water through it. So one of the big things here is keeping water moving to get the warm water away from it. And we'll do that by sticking a pond pump in there. Still on loan from Richie in our Patreon chat. I need to send that back to him. I don't know if I can get this more submerged than that, really. I mean, like, maybe. I guess I could do this. That would get us a little more submerged. Oh, a couple things. I should update everyone on this. So after the whole RipJ everything was done last time, after Jay's last response, we hit that review cycle for a whole bunch of products. And part of that review cycle involved me removing the lid again from the 7980XE.
It's okay.
I know how much you hate him, so let's do this.
Purple back. Purple back. Purple. Yeah, green back.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
For testing against the 9980XE, which was
Go, go, go!
No, don't rush. Yellow, don't. Purple back.
Big AVP or something. Look at it. Yeah.
Throwing a flashbang.
Ah, yes. No, rush. In scope. Purple. Back. Last. Go, go, go. Go, go. Don't knife.
GG.
No, GG.
Let's go, guys.
Nice, nice. Just play around the hostages. Don't trust, don't pick.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
Yellow, back. Green, back. Purple, don't say. No pick. Don't pick. I won't pick.
Windows D.
Да он тебя отвлекает. Заложника угнали. Yellow back. Safe. Green. Green, 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 green. Don't back. Nice, nice, fuck you. Orange. Go. Don't pick, stay in the corner, Cycle, stay in the corner. Nice. Yeah. Bad. No, not from. Okay. Free hits.
Come on, let's go.
Okay. Yellow back. Just camp the hostages. Camp the hostages. Orange. Me. Orange.
Flashbang.
Okay. Green. Green, camp. Green, drop me a car. Oh, nice.
Not publicly out yet or announced. And in the process of doing that, this is after Jay's response, I removed the lid and reapplied it, and then the temperatures for testing dropped significantly. So what had happened was in doing the extreme testing versus Jay, somewhere along the line, moving the CPU around, the lid got kind of pushed ajar enough. Now, this was never in any of our official testing or reviews or anything like that. It was just in the RIP-J competition. But it got pushed around enough that the thermals were significantly higher than what they should have been. So for the GPUs in the ice bucket, they did great. The CPU was way higher. Like, I mean, it was, some of the cores weren't really contacting the IHS properly, which resulted in in the IHS. Well, I mean, it resulted in basically lower clocks than we could have gotten. So realizing that, we had a bit more room left in the CPU, I think. I did not know that we were so thermally constrained because I didn't think to really check. So, okay, well, this is good for that. It's only one radiator. It is quite large, but it's only one radiator. So I don't know. I'm thinking loop order is GPUs. They're the most thermally dependent, and then the CPU. My concern is that the GPUs are going to be limited by the BIOS, and I don't know what to do about that yet. That's kind of the biggest
Yellow, back.
So it'll be reservoir, down, goes into the inlet on the pump, comes out, and the dual pump is kind of necessary for how far we're going to be pushing this liquid. Comes out, goes into the radiator, so it is now the coldest it can possibly be. So at this point, it should go directly to a component, and that's going to be with this into a GPU. And then that GPU will go into the second GPU in the middle of the board. So this tube will go to a GPU here. That GPU will go to this GPU. And I don't think I have a terminal to connect them, so I think we'll just run a loop. And then that'll go into the CPU. And then the CPU will exit and go into the bottom of the reservoir with this hanging thing. So I won't need much to connect those. And then it'll loop. So that's going to be our loop. I think the bench will probably be positioned about here. Give us the most space for a monitor.
Let's go, let's go! Let's go!
Stay and play now. Nothing.
Nice.
During a live stream, something like that. I guess I probably want access. No, give it back. I want access to the buttons, so I'll keep this probably oriented like that. No. All right, so then this will connect back into the radiator, and I don't think I even need to retube anything for that. Or into the reservoir, I mean, not radiator. So those would hook up there. I haven't really checked the performance on these to see which overclock's better. I did overclock them, but I didn't test them versus each other in any more extreme scenarios. So that will go there. I'm gonna have to
I don't get the reason why you fucking pick and run towards them.
You guys ready for this?
to disable that fan down there. I think I can do that in BIOS though. That PCH fan, that's going to create airflow that I really don't want anywhere close to video cards. But I'm pretty confident I can disable that in BIOS. And the cool thing